Hello, hi everyone. I am Kutlwano Seloane, aka clapbackstudies, and you guys are tuned into We Are Centurion TV, where we are all about educating, inspiring, and informing the people of Centurion of what is happening and what is so important. Now, if you are enjoying this content, please do give us a subscribe and a like, and perhaps even share these videos with your family members and people that would be keenly interested in what's happening. Now today, we are at Absolute Soul in Mnandi, where the weather is quite bad as it is raining, but we are enjoying ourselves and we were gonna be having an interesting conversation with homeschool teachers and moms about what is happening with homeschooling and what you should know about it. And here they are. Welcome to the show, and can you please introduce yourselves?
Thank you so much. We're happy to be here. I'm Maché, and I've been a homeschool mom for about the past decade. I've seen so many things. It's been a very interesting journey.
My name's Rebekka Liebenberg. I'm also a homeschooling mom. I've got 4 children, and they are mostly finished with school. I'm still homeschooling my teenager, although at that point they do the homeschooling themselves. So I sit in the background and watch most of the time.
But she's a veteran. She's one of the golden oldies in a good way.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, can you guys please explain to the viewers what homeschooling is about for someone that has no idea what homeschooling is about?
Homeschooling is all about teaching your child in the way that suits them best and having a lifestyle that enables growth and exploration and more than just book learning. Homeschooling is this whole world opening of your child growing into the little human they're supposed to be.
Yes.
Not just ticking things off a list, but allowing them to grow into the person they were meant to be.
Yes. Can you please also answer that?
I think what I'd like to say about that is homeschooling, the way we speak about it is almost like it's an alternative to life and to education. And from our perspective, homeschooling is more the old-fashioned traditional method of parents getting their children to learn and have an education. And it predates all formal education anyway, because that is the way it always was. Parents would teach their children whatever it is the family would have as a career or a trade and that sort of thing. So schooling, formal education, is where children now go to school. They're away from the home, away from the parents, and they're given a very specific, curated form of content of education, which is what we know as education in the world. And homeschooling became a way for parents to get back to the natural way of learning, where learning doesn't have to take place in a very organized fashion or a very prescribed fashion, and that it can become more closely related to the way the children would assimilate the information that we would call education.
Yes.
Homeschooling is a way of life.
Yes, that is so true. It's a way of life, and I love that you guys are touching on how it must be personalized. Now, can you please tell us why would a parent be interested or should be interested in homeschooling their kid?
Well, I'll give you from my personal perspective. We've had, my eldest daughter didn't fit well in school. There were bullies. There was also the thing of her not being able to focus with noise around her at all. I tried to make accommodations, speak to the school, get her earmuffs, but she didn't want to be the weird kid with earmuffs in the middle of summer, you know? And I couldn't send like an iPod or something with her to school. Right now, when she listens to instrumental music, and that allows her to block out the whole world and focus on what she's doing.
Yes.
So my child needed accommodations for her to reach her full potential, academically speaking, and that's why we initially started homeschooling, is to give her that. I myself was homeschooled. Being an ADHD child, I did not fit well into I have to move around when I'm learning. I have to learn hands-on, and that's unfortunately not accommodated for in a lot of schools.
Yes.
So a lot of people choose to homeschool because that's what their individual child needs.
Yes.
And other kids just flourish in school, and that's also absolutely fine if that works for you.
Yes. And would you like to add more?
The general idea of homeschooling is that you're not sending your child to another place. They're staying at home. And that is basically why many parents choose that. And there are such a myriad amount of reasons that you could think of. I've even heard people say they homeschool just because the transport's an issue. They don't feel like driving far. So the reasons are many. And in South Africa, we do have a couple of reasons that are sort of at the top there, including the bullying. And cost. For many parents, schooling is just too expensive, and then they turn to homeschooling not because they specifically want to homeschool, but because they can't actually afford to send their children to school. And homeschooling is a way of being able to attain a relatively good education or an excellent education, depending on what you put into it, without the cost that comes into it if you're going to a really, really good school where you've got all the bells and whistles. So there are many, many reasons. And I think most parents choose this specifically because it's going to be something that's going to be good for their child, or it works for their family. But I do just want to mention that not all parents that keep their children out of school are homeschooling. The law states that all children have to be in a school. Children in South Africa have got an inalienable right to receive an education, which is a good thing. And if you keep your children out of school, you have to explain why. And there are people who don't put their kids in school for various reasons, maybe problems in the family, whatever the case may be, but they're also not providing an education. And they're not homeschooling either. So, we do have a situation where homeschooling is a choice, but you do need to actually homeschool. And there are many reasons. We can probably go into it in more depth. But that's about it.
All right. No, that's good. I think now the viewers do know what it's about, why they should perhaps consider it. Now, can you briefly touch on the few steps into how someone can start introducing this homeschooling system to their children?
It's going to differ per household because of the reason you would maybe choose to homeschool. So I'll just give you a few scenarios that I know of. So if, for instance, your child is a high achiever in school and they're doing really well, but they have many extracurricular activities and they become really good, maybe at ballet, or I actually met a girl who wanted to be a TV presenter, and that was her life's choice, but she was still at school. And because you can't stop schooling, what their parents did was help her navigate her career from very young, because she was like a child star, and she still did her schooling through some sort of institution as a homeschooler, but she was actually pursuing a career already as a child. So now that would be one reason, and it's got nothing to do with the school or with education. It's purely logistical, and that would be a reason. So what they would have to do is you let the Department of Education know that you are not going to a school, you are homeschooling, and this is why, and this is what you're doing, and then they normally tell you, shop, that's fine, go for it, and they go for it. And then you'd get people whose children won't fit into a schooling system. And then they would actually have to now look at the whole package. They would have to figure out what it is their child needs in terms of an environment, and they'd have to provide that at home. And they'd also have to look at what sort of education their child could do, because clearly what was going on at school wasn't working. So they would have to do some research into that. Maybe see professionals or just spend time. Maché can talk a bit about how to do that. So the getting to know of your kids.
I think a lot of parents are very disconnected with their children. I mean, we're busy. We're all busy. We're all constantly on our phones. We're all doing extra stuff. It's a rush. Life is a rush. And we tend to live past each other, even though we live in the same house. So start by just getting to know your child. Start by spending time together. What is your child interested in? Play some Minecraft with your kid. I mean, I'm terrible at Minecraft, but I show interest because that's what my kids are into. So get to know your child, and through doing that, just take some chill time. Don't focus so much when you just start homeschooling. Don't focus on getting right into it. First day, okay, you're a homeschooler now, sit down for 3 hours of math. Don't get right into the schooling off the bat. Just chill a bit. breathe a bit, go on nature walks, go to the art museum, take them to Sai Bono for the day, go, I don't know, like do something together. Just chill a bit. And then once you've done that, once you've connected with your child on a deeper level, then you can start getting into the practicalities of homeschooling.
Yes. And can you actually further touch on the technicalities that maybe some of the viewers are interested in finding out, perhaps the curriculum, as the information is out there, we just need to research and find out. So can you please touch on that?
Absolutely. Like I speak to a lot of new moms new to homeschooling, and they're absolutely overwhelmed by the options out there, because when you run a search on Google for homeschooling resources, there's a lot.
Yeah.
So where do you start? Okay. I would say first off the bat, once you've spent some time with your child and you're getting to know each other deeper, and I mean you might have known this stuff for years, I'd ask you, how does your child learn best? Now there's obviously a lot of deeper stuff, but on the surface we get predominantly auditory, visual, kinesthetic learners. And then you get the kids, like my eldest is like this, that likes the lists. She loves lists and bullet points and highlighting that, and she hates mind maps. But I'd ask you, for example, if you are teaching your child how to make crumpets, right? Are you going to read them the recipe from the lounge and they're in the kitchen and they're doing their thing? Do they really remember well with audio?
Yeah.
Or do you need to be next to your kid and show them, okay, this is where you put the egg, this is how you mix the batter, this is what it's supposed to look like. More kinesthetic, hands-on. Or visual. Do you show them a YouTube video and just leave them to it and they'll follow along with the YouTube video and they'll get it done? So kind of figure out your child's learning style first. Then I'd say research different homeschooling methods, because what works for one mom, for example, some moms fit really well with the whole eclectic homeschooling approach, where you kind of take the kid's lead and you go along with that. And, bro, I cannot. So we chose Charlotte Mason schooling because it's very hands-on, it's very nature-based learning. It also gives me a lot of control over, you need to know reading, writing, math, you need to know geography, you need to know art. It gives me that structure that I need, but it's not as rigid as classical homeschooling. Then you get Montessori, Waldorf, a whole bunch of other stuff. So research approaches, try them out, see what fits, and then from there you can slowly start introducing subjects.
Yes. All right. No, thank you for that elaborate explanation. Now, I think what some parents sitting there may be wondering is about the social aspect of things now. Because if my child is studying at home all day, how are they going to cope in the work environment in terms of socializing? And I'd like to pose that question to you.
I'm so glad, because I love
We're
that question.
unsocialized homeschoolers.
It is a very common misconception that children who do not go through a formal education process lack social skills. There is obviously the case where if you are homeschooling and you don't have much connection to the outside world or interaction with other people, there will be a deficit in your ability to actually relate to other people. But if you just consider for a moment that one can be so lonely in a crowd. They speak about people in big cities that really struggle with depression and loneliness, and that would really nullify the argument, because being with lots of people doesn't mean you're going to be socialized. So the socialization aspect is actually separate from the education aspect, in my opinion, except that the schools approach it from one perspective, and a family or a homeschooling parent who's educating at home approach it from a different perspective. And the bottom line really is that a person grows up in their family and in their community learning how to socialize by being with the people that are around them. And what they need is a variety of interaction. So obviously if you're at home and the only people you ever speak to is your mom, you will probably be able to do and relate in many ways to people, but it will be limited because you wouldn't have had exposure to different kinds of personalities. So because of that, homeschooling parents do make an effort to just get out there, and this is everything from shopping and going to parks, spending time in libraries. And the benefits of homeschooling from that point of view is that children generally get to speak to people that are on a much wider social range than what they would be in a school, because in a school they would be in a class with their peers, which are the same age. They've all got the same interests. They have the same music tastes, and they're doing the same sort of things in their lives, which is great. It makes them feel like they belong and they can connect, but it is not diverse enough. So a school child also needs to be socialized by their family after school. They have to do a bit of sport. They've got to meet up with other people. They must connect with different age groups and different generations, and it's true for homeschoolers as well. So for homeschoolers, the main challenge in terms of socialization is not that the children can't become socialized through lack of interaction. It's mainly because of the specific genre of social activities that homeschoolers don't have. So for instance, we don't have enough sport, because not every home can have all the sports at home. So we have to, as parents, now go out there and look for opportunities for our kids that if they were in school, they'd have the option of hockey and netball and swimming and soccer and rugby and stuff. It's all there for them. They can just choose. Obviously, this is not possible at home. So the parent in this situation would have to specifically make an effort to now go and look for clubs, see what's available in the neighborhood. And that alone is probably the one thing a parent can do to cover all the socialization aspects. That's what we did, and it worked very well.
Yes. No, thank you for touching on that. That's quite important for most parents when they're thinking about the social aspect. Now, just for this video, can I ask for your final remarks? Just perhaps advice or something you'd like to say to the parents, to just give them the final advice that you would have wanted to receive for when you are starting with your kids with the homeschooling.
Yes. Okay, so advice for parents: if you're just starting homeschooling, reach out, find a community, talk to people. You're not isolated, even though it sometimes feels like that in the beginning. You are not. You're not alone. Find a community and have grace with yourself, and take it one step at a time, and ask for help. If you need help, if you need advice, ask. Yeah.
Can you please also add, ma'am?
I think the biggest thing, the takeaway I've got that from my interaction with homeschoolers is that the biggest impediment to a child's education is actually the adults in their lives. I know this sounds counterintuitive because I'm very pro homeschooling, but it's not because of what parents do or what teachers do. It's to do with confidence. So children are watching us all the time, and when you are homeschooling, you become the main point of reference for your children, whereas in a school situation they would have many teachers. So it does become incumbent on a homeschooling parent to step up a notch, but the way to do that is not to become a better person or learn more or do things. You can't be more than what you are, and you are actually enough. And I think the one single biggest factor that parents can cultivate is confidence. So if they are confident in themselves and they've made this choice and they know they're doing their best, that is going to carry them. And because their children are watching them, it's going to carry their children as well. And the minute you start comparing yourself to other people, you lose your own confidence, because then you start thinking you're not doing this like that person did. And it doesn't matter. Each family must find their own dynamic. And it's like that in a classroom as well. Teachers are unique and each teacher has her own style. That's why children like certain teachers more than they do others, because they relate to that or they like it. It's the same thing with the parent. Be confident in yourself, and stop comparing yourself to everybody else around you, and just get on with it, you know?
Absolutely.
All right. Now, thank you both. It's really nice. All right. Thank you both for the advice. Now, the conversation is not over yet. We are going to have a longer conversation going deeper in this topic about homeschooling, perhaps also with the laws and regulations that go around this. And if you really are keen and interested in this conversation, please go to the longer version of this video. But otherwise, if you've enjoyed this video, please do subscribe and like this video, and we will see you in the next one.